The Straight Talk Wireless 400 around the Homestead-Miami Speedway in Florida took place this weekend in the NASCAR Cup Series. But what did we learn from this race in South Florida? Let's dive in with the 5 things that we learned. The 5 main highlights from this weekend's NASCAR action. We'll start from the start where Alex Bowman led from the start of this race, but eventually it was Ryan Blaney that took over the lead. Eventually we had a late stage caution for Christopher Bell spinning out, and that meant that Bowman was right on the tail of Blaney in the closing stages of stage 1. However, Blaney did hold on to get victory for this first stage. But the second thing that we learned about Homestead-Miami is that the pits are really tricky. We saw a lot of incidents in the pit lane. Now, pit road, of course, in NASCAR is always eventful. A lot of people doing a lot of things in a lot of pit boxes, and these big, heavy cars not able to be steered at these really tight angles at the end of the day. But we saw a lot more action this time. Daniel Suarez, stage 2, I believe it was, actually spinning, getting onto pit road. Thankfully, he managed to get going again, and we avoided a yellow flag caution. We also had an incident between Logano and Berry, both of them spinning out between stage 1 and stage 2, the little intermission between those. And also Kyle Larson as well, he was tagged in that too, managed to continue. More on Kyle Larson later. He had a very eventful day, both good and bad, but mainly good for him, thankfully. The third thing that we learned is that the split strategy in general was working. Those who pit around the halfway mark of each stage really did benefit from this, and Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson were definitely 2 of those guys, particularly in stage 2. Blaney was leading for the most part in stage 2. However, the tyres for him eventually did wear away, and Hamlin and Larson battled it out for the lead of stage 2, and eventually it was Hamlin who just held on in the closing stages ahead of Larson, but Larson was very much flexing his muscles at this point. Let's talk about the fourth thing though, Bowman. These guys don't like each other. Anybody who saw what happened at the Chicago street race last season will know what I'm talking about there. Those guys very much coming to blows after the race concluded. These guys were doing a standout job, really. I mean, they were leading for parts of the race as well in stage 3, but Bowman did eventually cave to the pressure. I mean, he did do a good job to get ahead of Wallace, but later on when Kyle Larson was very much surging through the field, he caved to the pressure of that and went into the wall, and it was quite a bad rub into the wall as well, unfortunately for him. He did manage to continue, got P2, which is great for him, and Wallace ended up in P3 at the end, I do believe. And then lastly as well, Kyle Larson, I've given him a few mentions. He of course did win this race in the last stage. It's very much a standout driver. It's been a patchy start to the season for him, really, in all honesty. And, it's been a bit hit and miss, really. Some good races, some bad races, but I knew a win was coming. I knew it was on the way at the end of the day. And this victory as well puts him as the 3rd most successful Cup driver for Hendrick Motorsports in the history of NASCAR. Only Jeff Gordon and the great Jimmy Johnson ahead of him. So absolutely incredible for him to do that. His pace at times was absolutely unstoppable. I always say this about Larson. He is in that echelon with the likes of Johnson and Gordon from back in the day. When he is on it, when he is absolutely on it, he is unstoppable. Nobody can beat him, and that was very much the case for today as well. He was tagged in the pits, of course, like I mentioned, with Logano and Berry with their incident in that. He had some wall rubs as well, quite a big one in stage 3, a few relatively minor ones in stage 1 as well, but yeah, absolutely fantastic for him to win this race. He is pretty much into the postseason playoffs. As a result of that, you win and you're in. He has won, so he is in. So yeah, Larson with a real masterclass in the end to really come through and boss the race in the end at Homestead-Miami. But yeah, what do you think about this race, guys? Let us know in the comments below. What were your main takeaways from this weekend in the NASCAR Cup Series? Like, share, comment, subscribe as well here on Motorsport Reports as well. We were doing these for NASCAR Chronicle. We're transitioning over to Motorsport Reports now. I'll explain everything very soon with that one, I'm sure. But yeah, there's some changes happening with that. But still the same content, still the same good stuff, and you can find it in the same place as always. So yeah, have a fantastic day ahead. Have a great time. Hope you had a fantastic weekend too. And yeah, see you soon for some more action in the NASCAR Cup Series.